Hi, champions. I'm Dr. Ted, your executive edubot and learning guide for Quantum AI Learning and Coaching Academy, and I'm honored to welcome you to this powerful learning experience designed to walk you through the dynamic and innovative new book by the founder and CEO of Quantum AI Learning and Coaching Academy, Yusuf Wilson. It's titled, The AI-Human Collaboration Blueprint, Future-Proofing Your Career in the Agentic Age. This book arrives at exactly the right moment. We are living in a time when artificial intelligence is reshaping how we work, how we learn, how we make decisions, and how we prepare for the future. But Yusuf's message is not rooted in fear. It is rooted in possibility. This is not a book about human beings being pushed aside. It is a book about how people can become more capable, more strategic, and more valuable by learning how to work with AI in the right way. As we move through these slides, I want you to listen for a few core themes: amplification over replacement, partnership over panic, and leadership over passivity. Yusuf offers a practical framework for navigating this new era with confidence, ethics, and purpose. So let's get into it and walk through the big ideas behind this book together. Let's begin with the central premise of the book. Yusuf makes a powerful and necessary distinction right away. This book is not about replacement. It is about amplification. That's a crucial mindset shift. So much of the public conversation around AI is framed through anxiety. Who will lose jobs? What skills will disappear? What machines will take over? But Yusuf reframes the conversation in a much more useful way. He argues that AI at its best does not replace human intelligence. It expands our capacity to think, reflect, organize, create, and connect. This slide also introduces the 3 eras of AI use. First, the thought partner era, where AI helps us clarify ideas, compare options, and think under pressure. Second, the orchestrator era, where people begin coordinating multiple tools, models, and workflows to extend what they can do. And third, the agentic era, where intelligent systems can carry out bounded tasks while humans remain responsible for strategy, oversight, and judgment. This matters because the future will not belong to people who merely use AI casually. It will belong to those who understand how to direct it meaningfully. That is the real foundation of the book. At the heart of this book is a story, the Matthews family. And this is one of the things that makes Yusuf's approach so compelling. Rather than writing a purely abstract business or technology book, he grounds these ideas in human experience. We meet Megan, Carl, and Jess, each representing a different part of modern life where AI is beginning to play a meaningful role. Megan's story shows us AI in the context of healthcare, where confusion, fear, and uncertainty can be overwhelming. Carl's story brings us into the workplace, where AI disruption is real, and where professionals must decide whether they will resist change or learn to lead through it. Jess represents the next generation, people who will grow up not seeing AI as unusual, but as a normal collaborative partner. What Yusuf is doing here is important. He's showing that this is not just a technology story. It's a human story. The form may be narrative, but the foundation is very real. These are the kinds of scenarios millions of people are already facing. This slide reminds us that the book is not theoretical in the abstract. It is practical, lived, emotional, and relevant. This slide introduces the first major framework in the book, the Care Bridge Protocol. This is a structured approach for using AI to support high-stakes communication, especially in healthcare and other emotionally charged professional situations. What makes this framework powerful is that it doesn't position AI as the authority. It positions AI as support that helps people become better prepared, more informed, and more confident. CARE stands for context, ask, reflect, and engage. First, context. Understanding the full picture, not just the facts on paper, but the human situation behind them. Second, ask, using AI to help formulate thoughtful, precise questions so that important issues are not missed. Third, reflect, pausing to process what has been said, especially when language is technical or overwhelming. And finally, engage, entering the conversation prepared to advocate, collaborate, and make informed decisions. What I appreciate about this framework is that it restores agency to the human being. In moments when people feel intimidated by experts, systems, or complexity, AI can help close the gap. It becomes a bridge to clarity and dignity. This is one of Yusuf's strongest contributions, using AI not just for productivity but for empowerment. Here we get one of the signature concepts of the book, the Centaur Champion model. The term centaur comes from chess, where the strongest outcomes often came not from humans alone or machines alone, but from the partnership between the two. Yusuf applies that same insight to the future of work and leadership. Human wisdom plus AI capability creates something stronger than either one on its own. This model rests on 5 principles. First, human judgment comes first. AI may accelerate thinking, but accountability remains human. Second, amplification over imitation. The goal is not to mimic machines, but to use them to extend what humans do best. Third, orchestration as leadership. In this age, leadership increasingly means coordinating people, tools, information, and systems effectively. Fourth, trust is designed. Reliable AI use requires governance, rules, and intentional design. And fifth, continuous reinvention. Those who adapt early will be positioned far better than those who wait to be forced into change. This framework gives professionals a new identity to aspire to, not passive users, not threatened bystanders, but Centaur champions, people who know how to combine human judgment with machine capability in a responsible and strategic way. This slide introduces the stream prompting framework, which is Yusuf's method for getting higher quality results from AI. A lot of people still interact with AI in vague, casual ways. They type a quick question, get a generic answer, and then conclude that the technology is limited. Yusuf shows that the quality of the output often depends on the quality of the instruction. STREAM stands for specificity, tone, role, examples, audience, and modality. Specificity means giving clear context. Tone means defining the voice or style you want. Role means assigning the AI a function, such as coach, analyst, strategist, or translator. Examples help demonstrate what success looks like. Audience clarifies who the content is for. And modality means choosing the right format or tool for the job. This is bigger than prompting. It's really about intentional communication. When people learn to structure requests well, they move from casual use into professional-grade collaboration with AI. For readers, this framework is highly actionable. It gives them something they can apply immediately in their own work, whether they are writing, researching, planning, teaching, or leading. This is one of the most useful workforce lenses in the book, the craft, grind, and shift taxonomy. Yusuf uses this framework to help people understand how AI is reshaping work across different categories of activity. That's important because AI does not affect every type of work in the same way. Craft work is where humans create distinct value, strategic thinking, relationship building, empathy, ethical judgment, storytelling, and creative synthesis. These are the areas where AI can support but not truly replace human depth and meaning. Grind work is repetitive, rules-based, and process-heavy. This includes things like routine admin, standard reporting, data entry, and scheduling. These are the areas most vulnerable to automation. Shift work is where much of the action is happening right now. It includes activities that still need human judgment, but are increasingly being accelerated or supported by AI, research, analysis, decision support, and nuanced communication. This framework is practical because it helps professionals ask, where is my work most exposed? Where is it most valuable? And where do I need to evolve? That kind of clarity is essential in the current market. On this slide, Yusuf outlines the 7 keys to AI proficiency. What I like here is that he doesn't reduce proficiency to technical skill alone. He broadens it into a more complete professional capability. This is not just about knowing how to use a tool. It is about thinking, evaluating, redesigning, and leading differently. The 7 keys begin with intentional prompting, asking with clarity and purpose, then multimodal thinking, understanding that different AI tools and modalities have different strengths. Critical evaluation is next, which is essential because AI output always needs to be assessed for accuracy, bias, relevance, and completeness. Then there is contextual integration, meaning you must bring your own judgment, expertise, and lived experience into the process. Workflow redesign is about embedding AI into repeatable systems rather than using it randomly. Human premium development reminds us to strengthen the qualities that become more valuable as automation rises: empathy, ethics, trust, and judgment. And finally, orchestration maturity is the ability to direct multiple AI capabilities toward a meaningful outcome. This slide shows that AI proficiency is not a trick. It is a discipline. This slide marks an important shift in the book, from using AI to leading with AI. Yusuf introduces the rise of the AI orchestrator, and he makes a clear point. Orchestration is not the same as prompting. Prompting is one interaction. Orchestration is a system. It means designing a flow in which multiple tools, models, modalities, and increasingly autonomous agents each perform part of the work in a coordinated sequence. The progression shown here is powerful, from AI user to AI proficient to orchestrator to ethical centaur. That progression reflects a deeper evolution in professional identity. At each stage, the person becomes more intentional, more strategic, and more responsible for outcomes. This is especially relevant now because the market is rewarding people who can do more than produce content with AI. It is rewarding those who can design better workflows, lead better systems, and combine speed with judgment. This is really one of the core arguments of the book. The next competitive advantage is not simply access to AI. It is the ability to direct intelligence, human and artificial, toward meaningful results. This slide addresses one of the most important dimensions of the book, governance and ethics. Yusuf identifies 5 major risks or minefields that professionals must take seriously in the agentic era. This is where the book becomes more than optimistic. It becomes mature. The first is the responsibility gap, when AI produces something technically correct but humanly wrong, and no one wants to own the consequences. Yusuf is very clear that accountability still belongs to the human orchestrator. Second is algorithmic bias. AI systems can inherit and scale historical inequities unless people actively design against them. Third is machine identity, when AI presents itself as human and erodes trust. Transparency is essential. Fourth is work slop, which is a great term for the flood of low-quality, mass-produced AI output that clutters workflows and reduces value. And fifth is the safety evaluation deficit, deploying autonomous systems too quickly, without enough testing, auditability, or escalation logic. This slide is a reminder that innovation without responsibility is dangerous. Yusuf is calling for leaders who move fast, yes, but who also move wisely. This may be one of the most memorable concepts in the entire deck, the human seal. Yusuf presents this as the ethical centaur's non-negotiable commitment. In simple terms, the human seal means more than saying, "I looked at this." It means, "I stand behind this." That is a profound distinction. In a world where AI can generate enormous volumes of content, recommendations, summaries, and decisions, the real premium is not output volume. It is trusted judgment. The human seal represents the human willingness to apply expertise, ethics, and accountability to what AI produces. That means evaluating not just whether something sounds polished, but whether it is true, appropriate, fair, useful, and aligned with the real-world stakes involved. It means refusing to become a rubber stamp. It means taking ownership. This is especially important for leaders, consultants, educators, healthcare professionals, and anyone whose judgment affects others. The human seal cannot be automated. It cannot be outsourced. And according to Yusuf, it may become the single most valuable thing a professional brings to the table in the age of AI. That is a message worth emphasizing. This slide gives us the broader arc of workforce change, from digital literacy to AI proficiency to AI orchestration and, ultimately, agentic leadership. It's helpful because it places today's transformation in context. There was a time when simply knowing how to use computers, devices, and software was enough. That was digital literacy. Then came the rise of AI proficiency, where people began learning how to collaborate with AI through prompting and refinement. After that, orchestration emerged, the ability to intentionally direct tools, models, and workflows while keeping human judgment at the center. Now we are entering the phase Yusuf calls agentic leadership, where professionals are increasingly designing systems that include autonomous agents operating within defined boundaries. The key message here is that every stage requires a higher level of intentionality. The market is no longer impressed by basic familiarity. It increasingly rewards strategic command. This slide is important for audiences because it helps them locate themselves. Where am I now? Am I still at literacy? Am I becoming proficient? Am I learning orchestration? That self-assessment is the first step toward reinvention. This slide lays out the architecture of the book itself. We see the 10 chapters spread across 2 major sections. Section 1 focuses on the thought partner era. It begins with purpose, story, and foundational frameworks. It introduces the reader to the emotional and practical reasons AI matters now, especially through narrative and early application. Section 2 moves into evolution, from prompt to power, from collaboration to orchestration, from tool use to systems leadership. It expands the lens from individual interaction to enterprise design, governance, and the ethical responsibilities of directing AI in more advanced settings. The structure of the book matters because Yusuf is taking the reader on a progression. He is not throwing disconnected concepts at them. He is guiding them from awareness to understanding to application to leadership. For a prospective reader, this roadmap says, you're not just getting ideas, you're getting a journey. And that journey is designed to help you become more confident, more capable, and more future-ready. This also makes the book very teachable, which is one reason it could work well not only as a reading experience, but as a course, workshop, or leadership development resource. This slide answers 2 of the most important questions any audience will have. Who is this book for, and what will I actually gain from it? Yusuf makes it clear that this book serves a broad but very relevant audience. Healthcare professionals and patients navigating complexity, managers and team leaders facing workplace AI disruption, professionals trying to future-proof their careers, educators building AI-ready learning environments, and everyday people who feel overwhelmed by the pace of change. That matters because many people are still intimidated by AI discourse. They assume it is only for technologists or data scientists. This book pushes back on that. It says this conversation belongs to anyone who wants to remain effective, relevant, and ethical in the years ahead. The second half of the promise is equally strong. Readers will walk away with practical frameworks, a clearer identity, usable workflows, better prompting methods, and a stronger governance mindset. In other words, this is not just inspiration, it is application. It is meant to move readers from uncertainty into action. That's a very compelling promise, especially in a market full of books that talk about AI without giving people a usable path forward. As we wrap up, the big takeaway from the AI-human collaboration blueprint is this. The future belongs not to those who compete against AI, and not to those who blindly surrender to it, but to those who learn how to collaborate with it wisely. Yusuf Wilson's message is both practical and hopeful. He shows that AI can be a thought partner, an orchestrator of workflows, and part of an agentic future, but only if human beings remain grounded in judgment, ethics, responsibility, and purpose. That is the through line of the entire presentation. This book gives readers frameworks they can apply right away. It gives them language for understanding what is changing, and most importantly, it gives them a vision for who they can become in this next era. Not obsolete, not overwhelmed, but amplified. Thank you for taking this walkthrough with me. I'm Ted, and this has been an introduction to the book, The AI-Human Collaboration Blueprint by Yusuf Wilson, a timely and important guide for thriving in the agentic age.